What's your favorite thing here?
I like it all. I like it all. It's all good stuff. Great American food. And it'll be very interesting to see at the end of this evening how many are left.
Do you prefer McDonald's or Wendy's?
I like them all.
That's a tough question.
If it's American, I like it. It's all American stuff. So, but it's good stuff. And we have the national champion team, as you know, Clemson Tigers. And they had a fantastic game against Alabama. And they're all here. They're right outside the room. And I think we're going to let you see them. But I'll bet you as much food as we have.
Thank you.
Pizzas, we have 300 hamburgers, many French fries.
There was.
All of our
many
favorite
French
foods.
fries.
I want to see what's here when we leave, because I don't think it's going to be much. The reason we did this is because of the shutdown. We want to make sure that everything is right. So we sent out, we got this, and we have some wonderful people working at the White House. They helped us out with this. And I will say the Republicans are really sticking together. It's great to see because we need border security. We have to have it. We have to have it. No doubt about it. Should have happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's going to happen now. It's going to happen now. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy your food.
There's one more. There's one more from Hunter Walker. This is just the spread, I think.
That's just the amazing heat lamp nightmare.
Found footage.
It's like,
Network or doc.
That's
the Lincoln heat lamp.
It's like they showed those pictures, those videos of the Mar-a-Lago dining room with the gross, sweaty roast beef carving station and the giant dinner rolls and the bags of chips. And they said, "We see you and we're raising you. Yeah. How about ice cold Big Macs under a 30-watt bulb?"
Oh no! Many fries.
Yeah, but by the way, that I've realized it's gone through a number, and maybe another one will come up. But right now, in my head, Clubhouse leader for the thing I will think of as my brain dies is many French fries.
many French fries.
Many French fries.
It's almost like a Tommy Wiseau. That's what I was thinking. The same thing.
Yes.
Like, let me set this up for you guys because we got to kick things off. So we recorded our regular weekend show on Monday a little late. Come on, be nice. But that night, what do I see? I see burning up the timeline, Donald Trump standing in front of a magnificent spread of hamburgers, McNuggets, French fries.
No, French fries.
Wait,
there were no French fries?
There were French fries.
And then literally, okay, first of all, there was the still image of him with his arms spread, standing under a portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Yep. And there was powerful Stanley Kubrick energy coming
and that's when he became president.
Yeah. So literally that night, I was like, I almost wanted to be like, we have to do an emergency episode. And there was only one man I wanted. And I picked up the phone. And I said, get me Roth. Get me David Roth now. We need full saturation. We need David Roth on the hamburger.
And his parole officer said, you got it.
We need the Trump whisperer. The man that the orange talks to.
I'm sorry.
We need full saturation hemmed burgers coverage. Hemmed burgers coverage. And then lo and behold, when I see you on Monday night, David, you had it just again like a diamond that was formed in my mind, it was already there. And then I saw it, and the third eye opened, and you said 1,000% at some point in Donald Trump's life before he was president, he had a fantasy about filming a fast food commercial in the White House with a football team. And it's just like he's making all his dreams come true, except they were in full pads.
Yeah, so. It would be the 85 Bears, and they'd be doing the Super Bowl shuffle while he was like, "Fantastic, fellas."
Yeah. You said that he would be introducing a new burger called the Sex Burger. And I do feel like he was kind of annoyed that he didn't have a new product to roll out there that night. Folks, we've got it. It's here. It's amazing.
I know sex. I love sex. I've been having sex my whole life. This is the only burger. But yeah, he would, as certainly of all the things that he's done as president that I think he enjoyed, there's it's this one, like maybe some of the Easter egg roll things where he like stands next to a mascot and like points at it like, look, can you believe this guy? Like that one. And then the one I mentioned on the Deadcast this morning, I think the one that is still for me like the apotheosis of him living his dream is the first Halloween party that they threw at the White House, where he timed his entrance to. They were playing the Ghostbusters theme. I don't even know if I need to mention that, but he timed his entrance to Ray Parker Jr. singing "Bustin' Makes Me Feel Good." Like that's when he like kicked through the doors basically and strode out. And so like he's never gonna top that. But yeah, being surrounded by his football guys, being like, "How are the fries, fellas? Terrific!" Like that is, I think,
But
big.
yeah,
I think the only other thing he liked was the one he talked about where he's like, I was in the room with all the generals.
And they were so beautiful. Their muscles were gigantic.
He loves like butching up.
Yeah.
Like he loves that. But I have to say though, this is a feel good story because if you were like a stupid college football player, this is like the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. Like if you're like a white outside linebacker, as Dan Quinn was, this is the greatest day of your life. You're eating McDonald's with Donald Trump, and he goes up to you and he goes, "Oh, look at this guy. The cheerleaders better watch out."
Exactly.
How many co-eds are you getting?
This
Like
is
some antiquated
This
shit.
is literally the fantasy your character has in the Call of Cthulhu episodes.
Yeah, no, that
having
like, of all the reactions to it, the one that rung most hollow were the people who said, "How that's so sad. These guys, they work so hard, and now they come here and they don't get a nice meal. They fucking loved it. Are you fucking
Have
kidding
you ever
me?"
met a football player?
Yeah, I mean, the one problem. It's not the concept that I didn't like. I think the bummer came in, and I think this probably would have happened if they had a real meal. The bummer came in from the unarguable fact that food was ice fucking cold.
Well, how many like security protocols do you think like the fillet of fish had to go through to like be placed in like an orderly fashion on some platter that was given from like Charles de Gaulle to Harry Truman? They, like, were then, like,
and we know for a fact that the single food item that gets cold and inedible fastest is fast food.
Also,
Like fast food French fries, fast food burgers, they go from pretty good to inedible in about 5 minutes.
Also, with the president's predilection for McDonald's being very well known, how many foreign intelligence services have put moles in every single McDonald's near the White House?
That's what they were wanding each like sad pickle like flap. They were like, this could be the one that's plastique.
I
We
gotta
don't
say,
know.
the thing that broke me, and it was part of that amazing Kubrickian image of him standing beholding his bounty, was the silver punch bowl filled with dipping sauce.
Yes.
And
Just little plastic cups of barbecue sauce.
So, two things. First of all, the image of him, like, arms open, surveying his bounty, like Alexander the Great. Alexander wept because there was no more dipping sauce for him to consume.
No more nugs to conquer.
And no, literally,
The world is not enough.
Like looking at that image, I felt like Kier Dula at the end of 2001 after he's gone through the fucking Stargate and is just in that weird room.
My God,
looking
it's
at
full
you-
of fries.
But David, like, I swear to God, I was taking in this scene and just the image of him under this framed portrait of Abraham Lincoln in the White House with just the fast food spread, grinning like an idiot. I just thought, like, we keep having these hyper normalized moments where, like, I don't think we can get any more like past like this is just so perfect. It beggars the imagination.
Yeah, it was definitely like awing.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
its way.
it was awe inspiring.
You know what?
I feel like it's like we live in Adbusters, or we live in like Bulwark.
Exactly. People talk about how, people have these weird warped perceptions of the world based on their media consumption. But one of the fundamental realities of growing up in a media-saturated world is the knowledge that the real world doesn't work that way. The contrast between your quotidian existence and what you see in films and television and stuff is so dramatic that no matter how much of it you consume, that's not how the world works. And then something like this happens, and you're like, that's so uncanny and unnerving because this is a movie. This is a terrible, very heavy-handed 90s satire. And it's like, how is this real?
You know what I think it is? I think it's the writers of season 3 of Donald Trump wanting to start the third season with a bang.
It's like one of those weird movies that came out in the late 80s and early 90s that were entirely predicated on a black guy and a white guy trading places and like even trading skin.
White
like
Man's
this,
Burden,
yeah.
John Travolta, Harry Belafonte.
Yeah,
classic
classic.
film.
They're still friends today.
Wow.
I didn't know.
So the message of the movie was true. But it's like this would be the president in one of those movies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I mean, think about how much money he saved going
That's
with
true.
McDonald's
Yeah.
instead of the
And
expense.
Well, but
And-
he spent
it's
it. Though.
another
It's all
deal.
him buying
All of
it.
his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought those burgers.
Now it's 1,000 burgers. It was
Yeah.
200 before, and now he's like spent $75,000 on burgers.
You know what got stuck in my brain was him. Chris pointed it out. Is when he goes, "Be interesting to see how much of this food is left."
Yeah,
Like that's such an old person. Sometimes he betrays himself to show how old he is, and that's such an old person thing where it's just like you're so excited you connected synapses for a second,
And also to,
that
like,
you're like,
be
oh my
around-
god, the process of taking one thing from the process of the passing of time. Oh yeah, I wonder if we'll have any leftovers.
It's also, I think, part of it is him just being excited to be around like big football
Yes,
boys.
that's it.
Where he's
Yeah.
like, "That's a big fella. I bet he could eat a lot of fillet of fish. We'll see what happens. Have a great time." Like that is definitely like a big.
A couple of things. Like one, when he said like he's like the Clemson, they're here. They had a wonderful victory against Alabama. All the boys are here. You'll see them. You'll see them soon. We're gonna bring them in. We're gonna show you all the big boys,
The real boys.
We're gonna show you
Look how
all the
big
big
they are.
boys.
Well,
Look how tall.
He was acting like he was hosting a special where the special is just like Donald Trump eats dinner with the football team.
And also, but to his like, I'll be interested to see how much of this is left. He's also, like you said, he's impressed to be around butch football guys. He's just like looking at him like
They're like
oh,
younger
boy.
versions of the generals.
Oh boy,
They grow up to be generals.
oh boy, I bet he could eat so many hamburgers. I bet he could eat so many. I bet he could eat twice the hamburgers of a normal man.
The bit that I had forgotten at the end of that clip, because I stopped when you started abruptly talking about the border wall, where before he's like, every condiment, barbecue sauce, spicy barbecue sauce. Actually, but Nancy's been very rude to me. Like, that's where I stopped the video. And I think I didn't really fully engage with the thing where he'd be like, should I let him out, folks? Do you want me to let him out? You want me to
You wanna
open
see
the door?
boys?
Yeah.
You want to see the boys? He's a showman, folks.
Right.
But I think his obsession with them eating and their hugeness, it relates to another classic David Roth tweet, because honestly, I feel like I'm so terrified. Virgil and I were talking about this. We're so terrified of the hagiography that's going to happen
Yes.
with Trump in the next generation.
No,
as things get worse and stupider.
20 years from now, and I'm very much sort of the Nathan Robinson school that Trump will be considered like Reagan for what is the right in this country, should we have a country in 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And they will look back on this moment and they will say, when the Democrats shut down the government, Donald Trump spent his own money to pay for these big burly football boys.
And that is why I'm so terrified of all of the official, quote unquote, political science and journalism that's going to come in history that's going to come out of this presidency. All we need are the David Roth tweets, because the one where he's at Mar-a-Lago in front of the thrice divorced dentist and is just reciting big numbers of 5 billion. That's him. It's just like size by itself, unmoored, uncontextual. That's what he is excited by. So like a large man, it's like when he sees the big politicians like Luther Strange or Jim Justice, he sees a taller than average man and he can't stop talking about it. He's like, look at him. He's huge. And it's like, these guys are even bigger than him. Yeah. And it's like, and look how many burgers they eat. He's just ensorcelled by just
largeness.
Largeness.
Things that can be graded on a 1 to 10 scale. I like when he went to the border and was talking about how hot the Border Patrol guys were too, where he was like, you think cops are good looking? Oh boy. These guys. Like,
That's a very Dan Quinn thing, actually, is like whenever he meets somebody who doesn't look like Stephen Miller, he's like, this guy could be the biggest movie star ever.
Well, that's
but he
what
chose to put his life on the line. Like, what the fuck? He was like, I want to be the agent of the handsome quarterback. And it's like, could you imagine that's your agent? He's just calling up the San Diego Chargers, and he's like, I think Barbara Hershey was from San Diego. And,
Ray Kroc, very rude to me when I met him.
but I think there was a part of his brain that was like, I got to get all the cameras on this, because when Nancy Pelosi sees that I had dinner with the football guys, who really won?
that's always that's been a thing with Trump that's always kind of fascinated me, the way that he like moves at parties, because he doesn't really like people very much. He doesn't like touching people or being touched by people very much. Like physically, he's got like the he's on like the Howie Mandel
Yeah,
scale.
yeah,
Like,
Phobia
just-
and the vile, just deep misanthropy at the heart of him.
But there's like a gloaty aspect to it too, where he's constantly being like, "Did you see the size of the roast? Fantastic!" Like he's always, it's not just about like size and stuff like that. That like everything is sort of this. It's a display, but like his taste is so fucking stratospherically weird that it's impossible to tell like sort of what's going on. Like he's just gonna try to get bigger guys to come to the White House.
It's just larger,
like over and over until
dudes.
the government is turned back on.
These men have a special syndrome that makes them very, very tall. He just gets a bunch of guys with Marfan.
I'm just imagining if Robert Wadlow, the Guinness Book holder record for world's tallest man, he was 8'3". He lived in the early 20th century. If they could just get a guy his size to show up at the White House just out of nowhere, he would do whatever he told him.
Yeah, just like follow Greg Ostertag into the ocean or whatever. Like,
Because as we've talked about, he has no values. He has no sense of connection to any other person. He is a completely hollow person. He has nothing inside of him. So all he can do is judge things by numbers, by bigness, by expensiveness,
and volume,
and volume, height, width, and cost. It's all he has to determine, to weigh things against each other, because he has no other metric, because he's totally empty.
Would have made a very fascinating Freud.
Oh God,
case
Freud
study.
would have gone nuts on this boy.
Two more observations from the Hammed Burgers event. the
Hammed
Hammed Burger ultimatum. Okay, one, he keeps saying it's all good stuff. It's good American stuff.
It's American.
It's American stuff. And then at one point, the guy, like, someone yells a question at him from, like, the press pool or whatever. It's like, what do you prefer? Do you like McDonald's or Wendy's more? And he goes, they're both great.
That was
They're
Seymour
both-
Hersh. That was Seymour Hersh. Actually, he has a hot new scoop.
I
He's like, Donald Trump, he'll tell you that he likes all of it because he has to now. The generals have told him he has to support all of them. And but what he won't tell, what they've tried to scrub, and I actually got a lot of threatening calls about, was he's been very anti-Wendy's in the past.
See, that's the coverage.
He doesn't like the square burger. He finds it kind of threatening. The edges.
Yeah.
He doesn't like. He's worried he's going to hurt himself.
But James
Mattis on his way out, you remember James Mattis actually had a lot of projects in South America with Dave Thomas, and he told Trump that even out of the White House he wouldn't protect him from the other generals if he came out against Wendy's and Dave Thomas's legacy.
So he wouldn't commit to McDonald's or Wendy's, and he just kept saying they're both American. It's
American
It's good
food.
American
I
stuff.
love American
we love
stuff.
American stuff. We love American. Burger King is great. The Burgered King.
He said earlier in a different thing. He said earlier before they did it. He said we're going to have McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger Kings. And that's just stuck in my head because I think he thinks that those are guys.
Yeah.
There are multiple Burger Kings. They're monarchs in small principalities in Europe, and I can't wait to have them all come to the White House. They're amazing leaders.
The Burger Kings, I think they're just all wonderful, wonderful fellows, and you would hope that there could be one king.
He thinks
that
that
they could figure something out.
He thinks that Peter King is like the son of the Burger King, so he's always really nice to him.
The Burger
Like,
Kings
your
of
parents,
comedy
how are they doing?
are hilarious. I find them. I laugh so hard.
And the last thing that the detail that you have to clock in this video that's incredible, Felix, you reminded me of it. He's just given up wearing suit jackets now because he's so fucking fat. Like he's wearing his overcoat. He's wearing his overcoat inside, like surveying, like next to the heat lamps, next to his birder bounty. He's wearing a big overcoat.
I love wearing
like it's a bathrobe.
I love wearing 4 layers in the room filled with heat lamps, so I can eat room temperature fries and ask a confused 19-year-old if he's bagging co-eds. As he just stares at me, I'm just standing like a minotaur in my giant coat because no one can know I gained 40 pounds